Greetings cyberdogs and scrapsters from all over the world. This is RENDOG coming at you from another episode of Scrappy Racers. In the previous episode, we put together this fantastically fabulous little go-kart known as the Mario Kart Racer. And in this episode, my friends, we're gonna get crazy. We are going to create our most complicated and definitely our most weird Scrappy Racer to date. And it is gonna be freaking sweet. So let's talk numbers for our Mario Kart Scrappy Racer. Well, this little bad boy managed to get down the drag strip in about 35 seconds, so not exactly the fastest Scrappy Racer that we've built to date, but you guys absolutely loved the way that it turned out, and I gotta tell you, my friends, I agree. So together we gave it a Scrapometer rating of 8 out of 10, and that means it got given its own tiny little garage over here, the smallest garage so far that we've created because, well, it's a little cutie, man. But the good news is, guys, I think that our Mario Kart Scrappy Racer made that tubby Italian bastard Mario proud, and I think we did a pretty good job on this one. As mentioned in the intro of today's video, my friends, we're going to be working on the most complicated, the most technical, and definitely the most weird Scrappy Racer that we've built to date. It's going to be called the Wasp, and it is going to blow your minds, my friends. Cannot wait to get over to the scrapyard and start building. But before I do, guys, just want to take a minute to thank all of you guys once again for the ridiculous support that we have been getting for the Scrappy Racer series. I think the Cobra video, the video where we made the Cobra Racer, has now racked over 120,000 views, which I gotta tell you guys, has just blown my mind straight out of the water. Absolutely crazy. So thank you guys for all the love. Thank you for enjoying the series, for all of the comments, for all of the ratings, for all of the shares. You guys are making my life extremely awesome right now, and I love you for it. Anyway, guys, let's head over to the Scrapyard Workshop and start working on today's Scrappy Racer. Just doing some patchwork here in the Scrapyard Workshop, my friends. Noticed that there were a few blocks missing, and I noticed a few blocks missing around my world too. I think that's because Scrap Mechanic recently got patched, and that might have removed a couple of blocks from the world. But I will say, guys, that the latest Scrap Mechanic patch I am extremely happy with, because at the end of the last episode, after I built the Mario Kart Scrappy Racer, my frames dropped to literally 10 frames per second, and I think that's because we have a ton of stuff in our world right now, and the last patch just wasn't able to render all of the stuff that we have. However, Axolot's latest patch seems to have fixed my world. I'm up to a good solid 30 frames per second. Super stoked about that, so thank you, Axolot, for fixing it, and I can once again record Scrappy Racer episodes for the world, and it's freaking awesome. Alright, Scrapsters, let's spend a couple of minutes talking about the design of our insect-inspired Scrappy Racer. As you can see, I've been working hard on the chassis of this bad boy, and it's coming together pretty nicely, my friends. Here's the body of our Wasp, the abdomen connected to the body via like a thinner connection, which whenever I see a Wasp, that's kind of what it looks like, right? At the front of the Scrappy Racer, we're going to be building a head for the Wasp with some eyes and whatnot, and we're going to be getting some legs into this thing also, and of course the coup de grace, we're going to be sticking in some wings that are going to be coming out at an angle, and they're going to look absolutely awesome. I don't really know how we're going to get all of that stuff configured, and if in fact we can get it done, but I've got some ideas, and I think that if we just use some technical prowess for today's build, we can get this thing looking absolutely amazing, man. Now, before we get to wiring up our Wasp's brain, I'm going to take a sip of tea. And I'm going to show you guys the configuration for the legs, just in case there are a few of you out there who are trying to build this at home. So we're going to start with the bearing on the chassis. We're then going to get one of these corner pipes and go downwards. We're then going to stick another bearing on that corner pipe, and then we're going to go in this direction for the leg. And then we're just going to very simply build a leg with a couple of table posts, a bit of suspension, and then another corner pipe like so. And then at the end of that corner pipe, we're going to be sticking another bearing with another corner pipe and another bearing at the end. Now, the reason we've got all of these bearings in here is because we are trying to make this leg face diagonally in this direction, right? So if you have a look at this first bearing is going to turn the entire leg upwards, right? When we rotate it with the controller. The second bearing underneath is then going to turn the entire leg to the left or to the right. So we are now able, using this double bearing system, to move this leg up or down and left and right. Now, using the controller, we will be able to configure it in such a way that this leg is going to point downwards and to the right, and thus it is going to be able to face in a diagonal action. Now, how we get all of that wired up is another story, and we're going to be working on that in a second, my friends. But let me get the rest of this sucker installed, and then we're going to get technical. Okay guys, so the next step from a technical perspective is of course to get the brain of our Wasp to control the angle of the wings, and we're going to be using the front controller there to control both of these bearings like so. And what we're going to do is connect up that controller to these two bearings, and what you will see now is we have these two rotator editor rows to be able to edit the angles of those bearings, which is going to change the angle of the wing. We'll only be able to do this when our Scrappy Racer is off of this landing gear or this platform thingy. So we're only going to be able to do all of this configuring once we get this sucker out into the open. But I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of the technical side of things. Pretty cool, right? Oh yeah, pretty damn cool. Is that a toilet? Oh, that's new. What the jazz, man? There's a freaking toilet in here. Are we going to have to make a toilet Scrappy Racer? I think so, my friends. Anyway, check it out. One more thing that I wanted to show you for the wings today, guys. I want to use these duct corners to install the thrusters for our wings. And I reckon we put 2 thrusters per wing, and that's going to give us more than enough thrust to get our butts down that drag strip at breakneck speed. So check it out. I think that looks absolutely awesome. I think I put these in this one in the wrong place. There we go. Look at that, man. So that is our wing for our Wasp Scrappy Racer. And if you think of that wing at an angle and pointing a little bit down, it is going to look absolutely badass, right? Now we're getting somewhere, my friends. This is starting to look like a Scrappy Racer at last. I'm making some pretty decent progress around here. Just adding the final touches around the place. I've also been working on the face of this little bad boy, and check it out, man. He's looking pretty awesome. What I thought we would do is add a couple of bits to the front, right? We've got this sensor thingy and this hooter, and it kind of looks like mandibles or insect mouth parts, I suppose, if you use your imagination. But that's looking kind of sweet. Now guys, while I've been working on this, I've been thinking though, I think we're gonna have to do a little something to be able to get ourselves over that ramp. Now while I've been working on the Wasp Scrappy Racer, guys, I've been thinking very hard about our end goal, which is to hit that ramp at the end of the drag strip with the vengeance and literally send our Wasp into the stratosphere. It is a flying insect after all. And I think the best way to achieve that, guys, is going to be to install a couple of front wheels. A lot of the problems that some of our Scrappy Racers have had with the ramp is that when we get to the ramp, the front of the vehicle connects with the ramp itself and we get absolutely no ramp action whatsoever. So I reckon if we install a couple of front tires like this into the head of the Wasp, it kind of looks like an extension of the mouthpiece of the insect, right? Looks like the tongue or something like that. So we could get away with that aesthetically, and I reckon that's going to help us hit that ramp when we eventually get this sucker down the drag strip. I have been waiting for this moment all day long. The time has come to get wiring, my friends, and to get our brain connected up to all of our bits and to see this beautiful Scrappy Racer in the sunshine for the very first time. So guys, let's move the Wasp into the sun and get wiring. We're gonna take away this thing, gonna drop down. You can see the legs are just sort of dangling and moving all over the place. And let's get our Wasp Scrappy Racer into the sunshine. And isn't it looking beautiful, man? Look at that. That is looking so cool. Now, the last thing that we have to do is connect up our brains to our legs and our wings, and that is going to give us our final Scrappy Racer for today. So you know what? Let's start off simple. Let's start off by connecting up the wings. All right, guys, let's do some wiring. This is going to be absolutely awesome. Now, I've taken the Wasp off of the landing platform, and I've disconnected all of the bearings so that we could start from the very beginning. And as you can see, our wings are currently flopping down. And what we're going to do is use the very first brain in the brain array to get our wings back up and running. So let's get these connected, right? Our very first connection is going to be that bearing over there. Our next connection will be the bearing for the second wing, and now we can see that both of them have been jolted upwards slightly. Next up, we're going to connect to the second bearing, which controls the way that the thrusters are facing, and we will connect both of those up like so. Pretty simple so far. Now, what we want to try and do is get our wings facing up at an angle, right? We want them to be raised a little bit upwards. So we're going to work on the settings for bearings 1 and 2 in our brain controller. So let's head over to 1 and 2. And I think we shall set them at positive 15 degrees. And let's see what that's going to do. Okay, so that's going to raise the right one up by 15 and drop the left one down by 15, it seems. So it looks like we have to do an opposite like that. Okay, there we go. There we go. Look at that. That's looking freaking sweet, isn't it? Oh, man, that is so cool. That's exactly what I wanted. We might even raise them up a little bit more, maybe another 15 degrees. Let's have a look what that looks like. Oh, bam. Is that raising it a little bit too much? Yeah, I think 15 degrees was the actual sweet spot there. So let's bring them down to 15 again like that. Now we're going to do exactly the same for the thruster bearings. That's going to point those thrusters downwards a little bit. So let's open up a controller again and do the same thing, I guess. Positive 15, negative 15. Let's have a look. That should be angling our wings slightly downwards. It looks like it's actually doing it in the wrong direction. So we just have to swap them around. So negative 15 and positive 15 in our rotation editor. And there we go. That is pointing the thrusters downwards, pointing the wings upwards. And that is looking absolutely amazing, isn't it? Okay, so that was the easy bit, guys. Now we're going to move on to the most complicated bit, getting the legs facing outwards and downwards at an angle, and then getting the wheels to be straightened out. We're going to be using these two control boxes to do that. This control box will control the front two legs, and the back control box will control the back two legs. So why don't we start with the front two legs to begin with. I've done some experimenting. I've written down what I need to, and let's see if we can actually get this going. So that's going to be number 1, that bearing. That bearing is going to be number 2. That bearing is going to be number 3, that bearing is going to be number 4, and then the bearings at the end of the legs are going to be number 5 and number 6. Now all we got to do is get the settings right on these things. Okay, so I've written down all of the numbers that we need to configure in our control boxes, and I hope I get this right first time, but I might derp it up, guys, so please do forgive me if this goes horribly wrong. But check it out. We're going to work on bearings 1 and 2 first, right? So let's open up the controller. Bearings 1 and 2 are going to be positive 75 and negative 75, okay? The next bearings we'll work on are number 3 and number 4, and those are going to be positive 60 and negative 60, okay? The final set of bearings we're going to work on is number 5 and number 6, and those bearings are going to be set at a positive 30 and negative 30. Okay, so those are the settings. Now, when we take our Wasp Scrappy Racer off of the landing pad thingy, those legs should extend the way that I want them. Let's take a look. Come on, baby. Boom. Okay, not quite. Okay, so it looks like we got the angle of the second set of bearings incorrect, which isn't too bad. All we got to do is swap those around. So it's going to be negative 60, positive 60, and that should help to flip the whole thing around. There we go. Awesome. Oh man, check it out. Yes, that's perfect. So the leg, as you can see, is facing outwards and at an angle, right? And that's exactly what we wanted to achieve. You can actually see the double bearings happening over here. It looks like there's something going slightly wrong over there. So let's just take it off of the landing pad, reset it, and have a look. Oh man, there we go. That is looking sweet. I don't know why it's coming off of the bearing. It might be because of this block over here. So let's remove that. Okay, there we go. Nice. Just do a little bit of repair work and it falls beautifully into place. Look at that leg. It is so freaking awesome, man. Check at that. Oh man, let's get up on top of here and have a look at how these legs are facing. Oh man, that is absolutely awesome. Check it out. It's facing downwards and slightly forwards, and that looks so freaking awesome. I am so happy with how that has turned out. Well, I finally managed to get the back legs of the Wasp Scrappy Racer configured, and they are looking pimp McTastic, my friends. Look at that. This thing is looking so cool. I'm currently just putting the tires on the end of the legs and just making sure that they are all configured correctly. Looks like the front tires are configured correctly. Yep, they have straightened out, and that's why we had that second bearing in this position so that we can make the tires completely straight. It looks like the back tires are in a little bit of a mess right now. Look at this, man. They are looking super janky. So that's because I have misconfigured the final back controller of the brain. Oops, my bad. So I'm gonna have to try and get that sorted out. It's probably because they're facing in the wrong direction here. -30, +30. Let's have a look. Is that gonna straighten them out? Nope. That's not going to straighten them out either. Okay, so give me a little bit of time, guys, and I'll work this out. And I'll be back with you for a preliminary test run in a second. I don't know what my brain is doing today, guys. I have no idea. What have we created? A monster, a beast. Man, this thing is looking so cool. We're almost ready for our preliminary test run, my friends. I'm super pumped for it, but there's one more thing that I want to do. I want to give those front wheels a little bit of power also, so that when we hit that ramp, those front wheels, the traction from those front wheels will actually take us over the ramp and hopefully allow us to soar into the sky. So I reckon we installed an electric engine all the way back here and get it connected up to those front wheels like this, and that's going to ensure that when we do hit that ramp, and we will hit that ramp, we are going to fly like nobody's business, man. Oh baby, I think we're about ready, guys. Let's get into the driver's seat. Let's do a couple of tests. Turn left, turn right. Yep, that is all looking good. Let's have a good close look at our Wasp Scrappy Racer before our preliminary test. Looking amazing, isn't it? Look at the brain exposed over there. Man, this is one badass Scrappy Racer, guys. Okay, without further ado, let's kick our thrusters into freaking overdrive down the initial strip of drag and see what happens in 3, 2, 1. Let's do this preliminary test. Fire away. Okay, we're off. Oh my goodness, the handling, guys. The handling is kind of good. It's very smooth. It feels very smooth anyway, until we get onto the dirt. Let's get back onto the strip and see if I can get a little bit of a better traction. Let's have a look at those front wheels. How's that turning out for us? It doesn't look like it's touching, but if we hit those thrusters and we start blasting down the drag strip, it is so smooth. The handling is insane, guys. This could be an incredible run. So after 1 or 2 preliminary runs down the drag strip, my friends, I've made a couple of technical tweaks to the Wasp Scrappy Racer, and I think we are now ready to rumble. Let me tell you what I've done here. I've lowered the front legs down by another 15%, so the front of the vehicle is a little bit lower than the back of the vehicle. That's given us a little bit more pressure or weight on the front tires, and thus giving us a little bit more handling control. That seems to be working out pretty well. The most dramatic change is that I've changed the angle of the wings from facing upwards to facing downwards, and the thrust is now putting more force down onto the front tires, and I think that's giving us a lot more control too. And of course, derp, I've actually connected up that back electric engine to the front 2 tires so that when we hit that ramp at the end of the drag strip, we are going to go a-flying. Ladies and gentlemen and scrapsters from all over the world, welcome to the 6th Scrappy Race of 2016. Drivers, start your engines. DJ, burn that record. Let the race begin in 3, 2, 1, go! And we're off, my friends, for the 6th Scrappy Race of 2016 in what must be one of our most beautiful and technical Scrappy Racers ever created, the Wasp. And the handling on this sucker is absolutely immaculate. It feels like I am flying, my friends. It feels like we are airborne and we are cruising. I am sure this must be a record. We have flown down the track and now all we have to do is hit this ramp. Come on, Wasp! Fly, baby, fly! Well, that just about does it for today's episode of Scrappy Racers. And I gotta say, guys, this has been my favorite episode of the series so far. I am so proud of what I made today. I think that the Wasp probably broke all speed records I'll only know in post-editing, and it hit that ramp. It flew further than any other Scrappy Racer, and you know what, my friends, this thing looks just so badass, and let's just see it deploy itself again. So beautiful, man. What an absolutely amazing build. It's gonna get 10 out of 10 from me. But of course, my opinion matters not, my friends. The fate of the Wasp Scrappy Racer is entirely in your hands. You now get to rate this bad boy on the Scrapometer between 1 and 10. You can do so in the comment section below, and you can use the YouTube poll in the top right-hand corner to cast your vote. And if this sucker gets less than 5 out of 10, it will be relegated to the scrap heap. Well, that's it from me, my friends. I really hope you did enjoy today's episode of Scrappy Racers. Remember to go and check out my brand new Hermitcraft content, and if you are new from somewhere on the interbubs, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button if you enjoyed the series, and that'll make sure that we make some more Scrappy Racer episodes in the future. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. This has been RENDOG'S scrapping out my mind, and we will see you all in the next episode of Scrappy Racers!